vampires comes to an end in this issue of Avengers number 17. So we pick up where we left off with Dracula, which was he was in a classified location, and in exchange for being left alone, given a nice place to spend the rest of his days, he'd give away information. The Red Widow brings in all of Dracula's consorts and bed buddies, effectively, and says, "I'm going to slaughter all of them, and then you'll tell me everything I want to know." And that happens over a pool of blood, presumably the blood of Dracula's bedmates. He has revealed every dark secret he's known in the past 500 years, and he just wants to go away now. At the same time, he's thinking about, about his life and how he'll be remembered. Will he be remembered as the mighty Dracula, or as the man who was forced to flee his home? He talks about how, or thinks about how, he's lost his home before, how, he's lost his castle, but it's never been burned to the ground like this one. He's never been forced to flee the country. It's all introspective in a lot of ways, and it's really interesting. Meanwhile, Ursa Major and Red Widow, they talk about how they're a bit disappointed with Dracula. Like, they expected so much more, and then Ursa Major asks, "So where are we taking him?" And the Red Widow says, "Well, he just wanted somewhere he could be alone and isolated and quiet, so we sent him to Chernobyl." And I was like, "Oh, this could possibly be bad." Then we cut to the rest of Russia, where the Avengers have engaged Colonel Shadow, or the Colonel, and his army of exterminating vampires. And ultimately, this is just sort of the victory. What really sells this is the internal dialogue from Blade, who hasn't had much to say this story, if you think about it. He's been the whole, like, "We gotta kill these vampires." And everyone else, like, okay. The only person who seems to be the farthest away from that idea is Black Panther, who wants to try to cure them, to which Blade is like, "That's adorable, that's stupid." There really isn't much to this story other than those two things. There's moments when Blade wonders, like, hey, if I'd never been this way, could I have been an Avenger? Would I have been an Avenger? And he talks about how, the Avengers are a lot of things, but they're not vampire hunters. They don't get it. And I'm still trying to wonder why Black Panther has a lightsaber. Apparently, in his claws, he has a bunch of different potential cures. And obviously didn't work. And the problem with this story is that it really is just the good guys winning. And there's some good back and forth dialogue between the Colonel and Blade, but none of it really matters. It's more like just them trash talking each other. It's hard to find like any real sort of thematic point to this. For Blade's character, even Ghost Rider, Robbie just shows up having Ghost Ridered up and uppercuts the Colonel at one point, and when they finally defeat the Colonel and his army, Blade is like, "Okay, so I'm going to kill the Colonel." Black Panther's like, hold on, you don't have to do that. We've got cures, we've got treatments, we just lock him up." Blade goes, "Nah, that's not how we do this," and he decapitates the Colonel. But then the Colonel's gone. The Colonel's gone, his team is gone, and no one knows where they are. Like, okay, whatever. Then we go back to Avengers headquarters, and they're just a little back and forth talk, but hey, we still have the dog, so we'll interrogate the dog. The dog does not care to talk, and Blade talks to Robbie about performing an exorcism because they both resolve to stay on the team. And then we cut to Chernobyl, where it turns out the Colonel's team has brought the Colonel his body and his head, and it turns out the Colonel is the son of Dracula. And he says, "Did I do what you wanted, Father? Did I do everything right?" It's like, "Yeah, you did, son, you did." And he tosses the head away and says, like, "Everything has gone exactly how I planned, and now the Vampire Kingdom will begin again here in Chernobyl." And that's how the comic ends. So this was kind of dull. I'm not gonna lie. There's been a saying that if your story's going to last like 4 to 5 issues, you could probably trim it down to 4. This story should have ended with Blade saving Ghost Rider, and them teaming up to defeat the Colonel and his team, and everything still happens the same way, but we didn't have to pad it out so long. Like, everything could have happened this way, but we closed out the Ghost Rider story too early. I mean, Robbie's possessed. It doesn't really do anything to further the story, other than to say this is our roadblock, and maybe it gets Ghost Rider thinking about his own personal future in the role. That's something, but still, right now, nothing. Why did this story have to happen? I mean, yeah, we've toppled the main vampire community, but why did we leave the Namor story for this? It's just sort of dull. Like, if I would compare this to the Justice League comic is like one huge cohesive story. You know, we're not leaving story one to go to story two. Like the Drowned Earth story was a direct result of the issue with the totality, of the issue with the Legion of Doom. That was part of a story. This one just feels like, okay, we've now spotted Namor. What are we going to do about Namor? Well, nothing. My spies told us about vampires. This way we can justify having Blade on the Avengers. And I'm still wondering, why is Blade here? There's no insight to his character. I mean, if I was a new reader, which I kind of am, especially in regards to Blade, this doesn't incentivize me to care more about Blade. But that's sort of it. There's no real back and forth between any of the characters. It's just sort of forgettable. This might be the weakest story so far in the Avengers comic. Or maybe I'm just missing the point. What did you guys think? Was anything but that last reveal that Dracula planned this whole thing totally forgettable? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section. This is the Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching, and may your fandom serve you well.